Another way is by improving access to treatments. And we discussed treatments in the last 2 lessons. We discussed traditional treatment models, including CBT, talking therapy, exposure therapy for anxiety, and some alternatives. And then we discussed medications. So we discussed SSRIs, we discussed some anxiety medications, and then some novel medications that are becoming more researched and more popular, such as ketamine-induced therapy. So in terms of improving access to treatments, I'm just going to highlight a few interesting points here. A large proportion, 70 to 80% of adolescents with mental health conditions don't have access to mental health services. COVID-19 pandemic worsened the access to mental health services for adolescents. However, one solution to this is that interventions delivered in schools and using digital health technologies can improve access to mental health care. And finally, from this paper, that we need more evidence on improving access to mental health care from the global south. So essentially, post-pandemic or post-COVID, there is a problem with access. There aren't enough people being able to access treatments for these conditions, anxiety and depression, particularly adolescents. And the pandemic definitely worsened this problem. And this paper suggests a few different ways of improving access. And it also recommends that we need more evidence on how we can improve access in places such as the global south, where this problem is particularly bad. So let's go back to why access is an issue and why is it important? Well, lacking access to a mental health service is a problem because if you think you might have anxiety and depression and you reach out to your healthcare provider or your doctor or a psychologist, you may be put on a waiting list. And as you can see here, evidence suggests that long wait times, i.e. being on a waiting list for a long time, can actually make your condition worse. So symptoms might get worse, more severe. Public health services are chronically underfunded and overworked, and this is a problem in essentially most parts of the world, which leaves many without support and on those longer waiting lists. And even when help is available, it might not be the right kind of help. So we need to think, okay, is the access available, the correct access available? And I'd like to also highlight the 4th bullet point. This issue of access is particularly important for teenagers and for young people in general, because of that developmental period that they're going through, in which their brains are changing, their responses to emotions and how they process them is changing. So having an untreated mental illness, such as anxiety and depression, that is not being given correct interventions is particularly problematic during this crucial period of development. And I guess on a similar vein, things like anxiety and depression that are left untreated have big costs, not only to the individual, but to society and to the economy. So missed work and emotional struggles. So a lot of people will be out of work and they might be unemployed. And then they also will be dealing internally with the distress of not being able to access treatment for their condition.